Web pages are great at outputting information like text and images, but sometimes input can be a little bit tricky. Over the next several videos, we'll learn how to create HTML forms. The web is a strange development environment, especially if you're used to creating compiled software for other platforms. A lot of this confusion comes from web forms and how they work. Forms are everywhere, and they enable nearly every modern website like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and even the Google homepage. Web forms are absolutely everywhere, and they allow users to submit all sorts of data to a web server. Just like the file system metaphor is used to help people understand how data gets stored on their computer, a web form is similar to a paper form in the real world, and it should be fairly easy for any user to understand. Basically, when you fill out a form and hit submit, the data gets sent to a URL. When that URL gets hit with form data, it will process the data and send back an appropriate response to the user. This response is typically in the form of HTML, but it can be other data as well. So let's go ahead and get started by creating our first web form. So here we have a blank page, and I'll go ahead and switch over to my text editor. And here we have a basic HTML page. There's really nothing here at all except for some boilerplate stuff. And we're going to start out by typing a form element inside of our body. So we'll go ahead and type in an opening form tag, and I'll type in a closing form tag. Now, the opening and closing form tags are required elements. And the form tag has several attributes. The first one is called action. So we'll go ahead and type in action, and we'll give our action attribute a value of # or pound. Now normally we would put a URL as our value, but this is fine for now. The URL we put in here will be the page that our form data gets sent to. The next attribute is called method. And method can take either post or get or any other HTTP method. For now, we'll go ahead and use post. This will tell the form to go ahead and post our form data to the action URL that we've specified. Now, there are several other attributes that we could use here. One is accept if we wanted to use other MIME types or do file uploads. Another one is name, which we can use to specify the name of the form for scripting. We could also use the onSubmit attribute if we wanted some JavaScript to execute after we submitted the form. And there are, of course, all the normal attributes like ID, class, style, title, and so on. The next element we're going to use is called text area. So let's go ahead and type that in. We'll type in our opening text area tag, and we'll type in our closing text area tag, just like that. And we'll go ahead and switch over to the browser and refresh the page. And there you can see we now have a text area. And in WebKit-based browsers like Google Chrome or Apple Safari, you can actually go ahead and resize this, although that's not the case in all browsers. The text area element also takes several attributes. The first one is rows, and we'll give that a value of 20. This allows us to specify the number of rows that will be in our text area. So if we go ahead and save that out and switch back to the browser and refresh, you can see that we now have a lot more rows to input text. There's also another attribute called calls or columns, and we'll go ahead and give that a value of 50. And when we switch back and refresh, you can see that we now have a lot more columns for inputting text. And of course, we can go ahead and type any text we want into our text area. We've gotten started on forms, but this is only the beginning. There are many more HTML form elements to learn about.